Good evening. It's Sunday night, and in what I think you're going to find is going to become a regular occurrence, this is when I try to catch up on the week before and to give you a little preview of what's going on. So, thank you for uh, everything you've done. Make sure you watch this, though, not because, as I said in an email earlier or an announcement, not that I think of myself as any great media star, that this is probably one of the easiest ways I have of getting in touch with everybody at once and letting you know what's going on. And this course tends to be kind of topical, and things change rapidly in the world of sports, as we know. And this is one of the best ways I think we have of communicating with each other. So, please just take a minute every. It'll usually appear late Sunday night, early Monday morning, maybe a supplemental version during the week. But it gives me a chance to talk to you and tells you what's on my mind about the course, about the world of sports business, about what's going on. Okay, so that's the formalities out of the way. Let's get to what we're really supposed to talk about. Well, this week we had the introductions, and I asked you to talk about the opening things of sports business. What did you see as three issues? And many of you touched on some very interesting stuff. And one of the more interesting things I found was there's a little more uh, agreement this time around than frequently is. But really, two things that affect all of us and affect the business of sports tremendously are the issues of player pay, salaries, and we will talk about that in specific later in the course when we kind of look at what is somebody worth and why are they worth what they are. And kind of a subset of that has come up in the last year or so. This whole question of whether college athletes should be paid, and as you can see me here in my coach's gear, I'm kind of sensitive to that because it hasn't filtered down to Division Two where Post plays. But I spent the week immersed in college athletics. I'm just back in, just flew in this morning from getting away from snowy New England down to mostly sunny Florida, where we played 6 matches in 5 days, which was a grind, but a really good training experience. But all that being aside, surrounded by college sports, talking to other coaches, talking to them about issues in their programs, and this is all at multi-division levels. We played a Division One team, we played some Division Two teams, uh, but everybody talks about the same things. And I want to let you know that we're going to be looking at that issue kind of in depth a little later in the course. The other thing that people talked about was ticket prices. Almost with across the board, people were talking about ticket prices, and ticket prices are outrageous. So if you take a quick look, though, I just put at the top of Unit 2. So if you've already dived into Unit 2, go back. Right at the top is an interesting graphic. I think it's about a year old of how the revenue sources for the four major New York sports teams break down, and it looked at the Yankees, the Giants, the Mets, and the Knicks. So I shouldn't say the four, but four of the major New York sports franchises, how their revenues broke down and what percentage came from ticket revenue, what comes from luxury seating, what comes from regular seating, what comes from television, what comes from sponsorship, all those things. I think it's a little interesting. I think you're going to find it shed some light on some of the questions that you may have. Now, this week, uh, some dry and boring stuff, I admit it, in the text where we start out and look at the operation of a sports franchise as a business. But really, that's what we're all about here, is understanding the business. So this is going to give you some grounding in some of the theories about the sports franchise as a profit-making enterprise. I mean, we all hear when a player gets traded or a player signs a contract or an NFL team cuts somebody because of the salary cap. We always hear that time-worn phrase, "It's a business." Well, it is a business, but how does that business work? That's our mission to find out and to understand it better. This is the week we start introducing you to those concepts and to some of the tools that an economist would use in analyzing the business of sports. Speaking of economists, okay, There was also a in the Unit 1, I had this review of economics. And you probably wonder if you watch the video, I will bet that somebody watched the video for 30 seconds and said, this is ridiculous, and clicked it off. You had this rather silly guy up there pretending to be an economics comedian, if there is such a thing. And you're probably wondering, why did the old guy do this? Why did he put that in there? Pretty simple. Those are the 10 principles of economics that we see. If you took economics here at Post, we use Mankey's text, and that's what Bauman based his little comedy routine on. Why did I put that in there in that absolutely ridiculous form? It's just to get, it's kind of to see who laughed, so to speak. If you thought it was funny, you probably really understand your economics. If you thought it was ridiculous, you probably didn't pay attention. If you didn't understand it, that's okay. It just means it's time to go back and review some of those basic economic principles that we will be using throughout the course. So I apologize for the maybe some confusion as to why it was there, but it was there intentionally, and I'm going to keep using it because I think it's important. So if anybody wants to comment on it or anything, get in touch with me. I'd be really interested to see if you thought it was totally useless or something that maybe made you do a little head scratching to see what you remembered, and that's the purpose of that video. Okay, so I think I've given you a little overview of where we're going. Like I said last week, I was tried to respond to everybody's introduction. Thank you very much. I did jump in and ask a couple of questions in the discussion board. I'll try to be a little bit more active this week. Last week I said was coaching. This week, actually, tomorrow I jumped back in the vehicle and truck off to Virginia Military Institute to do a presentation at a conference. So I really won't be back on campus until Thursday. But plenty of things you can do with a computer in a hotel room. So thanks for your participation in the first week. Now it's time to really get going on things. Look at what's in the text. Always, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to contact me. Again, thank you.